Grab your sketchbook, a journal, or any piece of paper, a magazine, glue, scissors, and a pen. Now take your magazine and open it at random. Find a pattern, any pattern, okay? It can be part of someone's hair, a rug. You can see I've got some kind of foreground foliage situation. Doesn't matter. We're just looking for repeating shapes and colors. Okay? Next is a word. Again, everything is chosen at random. This frees you from overthinking, right? You're being ruled by chance here. Of course, what you end up being drawn to can be very illuminating, but that's not really the point of our little game here, okay? We're just getting out of ourselves and onto the page. I actually set a time limit for 5 minutes to really give myself that structure, those boundaries, and to just encourage intuitive and decisive action. Next up is an element, something more recognizable, right? I use my scissors for this part rather than just tearing. You can see I've chosen a hand. It can be anything, part of someone's face, I don't know, a book, a nightstand, whatever your page gives you. It doesn't have to stay recognizable. You can cut it however you want. But of course, if you've given yourself the time limit, like I have, then you are going to have to stick within that, and you need to have all of your stuff chosen and stuck down by the end of it. So one of the reasons I enforce this time limit is that, firstly, this whole thing is about overcoming creative block. And it is so much easier for me to just sit down and make something in 5 minutes rather than letting myself have like half an hour if I'm feeling blocked. Look, if I'm feeling unblocked, I can just go for hours and hours. I love making art, I can completely get lost in it. But when it's starting to feel like a big thing on the horizon, it is so much more difficult to carve even half an hour out of my day, right? And with this, when the time is over, it's over. And I don't have to worry about it. I can just put it aside. I can move on. I don't need to stay and perfect it. I don't need to worry about what it looks like, if it's good enough for social media. It's not about any of that. It's just an exercise, okay? Creativity is a muscle. It gets stronger with exercise, and you don't need to be creating a masterpiece every time you sit down and make something. You are not running a marathon every time you work out or stretch, but at the same time, you're not going to be able to run a marathon if you don't stretch once in a while. You know what I mean? You can take this game, this exercise, and completely make it your own, change it however you want. But for me, these rules that I've given myself are part of what makes it fun. It's part of what makes it a game. All games have got rules. Look, creativity doesn't have rules, but these little games that help to unlock my creativity have got rules. And you can see I tried to sidestep one of my own rules here. Look, I chose 2 words, ooh, naughty puppy, but I ended up getting rid of one of them anyway. Now that you have your elements, just arrange them in a way that feels right. It doesn't have to feel good. It doesn't have to look good, but in a way that just makes it feel like that's how it's supposed to be. And if you've got a time limit, like I've given myself, then it doesn't actually matter, like find something and stick to it. You don't have much time. But you can see how cool this ended up looking and how apt it all is. I've got this weird little hand creature coming out of the grass, dangerous. I love it. And look, it's not always gonna be great, but 9 times out of 10, that randomness, this game of chance, ends up generating the most awesome little creations. But no matter what you've come up with something. You've made something. You've overcome that art block. Now the last step is to take your pen and make marks. Anything. I just did a couple little dots here. You can do some lines. You can just outline the thing. Just use up the rest of the time that you've set yourself. And when that alarm goes off, if you set an alarm, then put down the pen. I mean, you can finish your stroke. That's okay. I'll forgive that. And if this 5-minute exercise encourages you to go off and create that masterpiece, then all the more power to you. A note about art journaling. Art journaling, making art, is not just for artists or professional creatives, right? Anybody can benefit from art journaling. I would say that a regular creative practice has been one of the linchpins in me overcoming my stress, my addiction, my OCD, my PTSD, dealing with trauma, working through shadows, and just generally transforming myself. Okay? And even though I have gone through a hell of a transformation through my regular creative and magical practice and creative magical practice and magically creative practice, I still get so hung up sometimes on the results rather than the process. So I've made a lot of progress, don't get me wrong. But for 2023, I want to basically take a whole lot of my old sketchbooks and turn them into art journals. And one of the starting points is going to be me implementing the tips you see today to create an artwork every day for at least January, according to this pattern. And then we'll see what happens afterwards. Anyway, enjoy. I really hope that you get a lot out of this. Some really interesting things emerge following this process. So let's check it out.